The horrors of that night on Verplank Road are still fresh in the minds of the police officers who were first on the scene. The call went out as a carjacking and abduction with possible injuries and a suspect on the run. In a story you'll see only on 9 tonight, a state police sergeant who was forbidden to talk about what he saw that night until today returns to the crime scene with News Channel 9's Christy Casciano.
Initially, I thought that the call, which came out as a carjacking, sexual assault, and stabbing, was a hoax. The information that we initially got just didn't make sense. You know, that doesn't happen up here. It doesn't happen in our county. The information was that there was a young victim, there were weapons, and there were injuries. Verplank Road is a desolate, generally untraveled road. It's a back way, the locals know. I travel this road quite a bit, and every time I come by here, it brings back memories. I rolled up right behind the first rescue rig, ran around the truck, and then I found Lori laying right about here. She was bleeding heavily. I got right down to her, and I asked her, "Who did this to you?" And she's still conscious and breathing, and I know she's alive and she's looking at me, but she just didn't have the strength to answer. At this point is when I meet Bill Craig. Bill tells me that there's a female victim, and he tells me that she's been sexually assaulted. I said, okay, where is she? And we opened his car door to find the little girl sitting in the back seat. She's still bound behind her back. She was severely injured, but she was still able to tell me the details of her assault. And she gave me a description of the suspect. She gave me a description of the weapons that were used. Once I set up the perimeter, then it was time for us to go into the woods. I was able to get my canine partner out, along with Trooper House and Trooper Hunt and Deputy Joe Strom and Deputy Bloodgood. They provided cover for me because we knew that this guy was still armed. We knew that this guy was desperate. We knew what he was capable of. And I'm sure any one of these guys would tell you that we fully expected to be shot at that night.
Could you tell the dog was picking up a scent?
He was literally footstep for footstep. It's cold out. There's no other scent out here. It's very fresh scent, so he was on it all the way.
And all the while you're walking with your dog, still not knowing whether David Renz was here.
We have no idea where he's at. We don't know if he's going to jump out and start shooting.
And it's dark.
It's pitch black out here. We're using flashlights, so he knows we're coming.
Right.
We just don't know where he's at.
So you could pretty much have felt like a target, a moving target for...
Exactly. So we go for close to a mile through this brush like this. And there was one point where everyone told us to stop. They had a hot spot on their FLIR.
There's still orange tape here.
Yeah.
What, is this from the crime scene that night?
This is from one of our searches. We were able to locate David Renz's eyeglasses that he lost that night.
Right here.
We lost them. They were found right here on one of our searches.
The tape is still here.
Yeah. A retired trooper, Paul Carney, came and assisted us with one of the searches, and he actually found the glasses.
Right in this area?
Right here, yeah.
So this is where Renz had definitely fled.
Yeah, he came right here.
This was one of his paths.
Yep. Yep.
Now coming up tonight at 6, how police tracked and captured David Renz, putting an end to a night of terror.
That little girl might not be alive today had it not been for two brave men who happened to be driving along Verplank Road that night.
Now, they had the courage to stop and get the child to safety. With his plan foiled, David Renz was on the run. News Channel 9's Christy Casciano tonight takes us back to the scene with a story of how police got him.
I think the fact that Bill Craig and John Harkey came by when they did, it interrupted David Renz's plans. And I don't think he had plan B. It's dark, it's cold, he's not dressed for it. He lost his glasses in the woods, he's desperate. All of a sudden, the tables turned against him. His plan fell apart, and it was to our advantage. So we end up tracking through the woods, and then we come down Verplank Road. And as we're coming down, Investigator Darstein sees this subject running down the road, at which point he turns around and follows him down Route 57.
And at this point, you are just driven to catch this guy, I imagine.
Absolutely. Not catching him wasn't an option. We knew what he had done. We knew what he was capable of. And chances are he would do it again. So we knew how important it was to catch him. So at this point, as we come out into this field, not only is my dog right on the scent, but now I can see some footprints in some of the mud and snow and whatnot. And the footprints come right down to the mailbox that's right here in front of us. Investigator Darstein takes David Renz into custody. Right here, in front of the mailbox.
What did you think of him now that you know the full story? Is he a madman? Is he just evil?
I think he's just pure evil. Pure evil. We've always told our children there's no such thing as a boogeyman, but after this, there really is. This is where Lori fought David Renz in the end. In doing so, she allowed the little girl to escape the vehicle and ultimately was noticed by the two civilians who just happened to be driving by. I think that Lori knew that there was no other option at this point, that she was going to have to fight him to save the girl. If there's a hero in this story, it's Lori Bresnahan.
And it's the hope of Sergeant Cicora that families will now take the time to develop a safety plan by role-playing scenarios, having a safety code word, and to always be aware of your surroundings.